Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Today we are going to be talking about vehicles and ships. I wanted to talk about what ships CIG are working on now and what they've still got left to get out of concept and into our hands, what we can expect over the next few months. Since CitizenCon last year, so October in 2024, CIG have already released a load of stuff. The Argo CSV SM, the Starlancer Max, the Polaris, that mighty Corvette there, the Super Hornet Mark II and Heartseeker kit for it, the Anvil Terrapin Medic, the Misk Fortune, the Mirai Guardian, the Zeus Mark II CL and ES, and with Alpha 4.1 they've also released the Drake Golem and the ATLS Geo, a variant of the ATLS mech. They're both focused on mining, which makes sense because they released what was effectively a mining patch. And CIG have said as part of their monthly driven patch content, they're going to be releasing more ships that don't require new features. So it's going to be a lot of combat ships, cargo, salvage, mining, that sort of stuff of all sizes. But we may see some other new features turn up, and they will release ships appropriately with those new features. That's what it appears to still be. Some other bits and bobs to get some of this in context. Fleet Week is coming. This is going to be mid to late May. This is a big military ship, combat ship event where they also, I suppose, add on or tack on logistic ships and vehicles as well. So there'll be like a free fly, there'll be an expo where you can try loads of ships and vehicles, and there'll be a load of new ships and vehicles that are largely focused at combat. They also have things like the ability to tour a Javelin or an Idris. You'll have the UE fleet flying around showing off some of their military ships as well. And we've had Bengals before being shown off here, as well as a load of the military ships. So there could be some much cooler stuff this year as they've moved into this monthly patch cadence where they focus on content. And obviously, day on day, the game is getting more and more complete. Let's talk about some of the ships and vehicles that we know CIG are working on and work out what might turn up. From the recent monthly report, CIG said the Misk Starlancer TAC has moved into its final development. This ship is likely going to be coming out at the end of April or May with Fleet Week, in my opinion, and it's the sort of combat variant of the Starlancer Max. The Apollo, so that medical modular ship that a lot of people are highly anticipating, has passed its white box review gate and has moved into grey box. So it's still going to be a while before it's actually released. And the RSI Perseus has passed its white box review as well. That was at the start of March, so it might be a bit further on. Now, the Perseus, that quite large brawler ship, it's been teased a bit by CIG, but I don't think that or the Apollo are going to be here until maybe like the Intergalactic Aerospace in November, personally. That's the sort of expectation I have, or like CitizenCon or something. Will the Apollo have its medical drones and tier 1 medical modular choices when it's available in-game? Maybe. Depends when it's released. It doesn't need them immediately, but it would be good to have them, I suppose. The Pioneer. So the Consolidated Outland Pioneer, that mobile base building base that can also build space stations and a load of other stuff, that's progressed through white box. It's got to be a bit further out than everything else. It's sort of like something that might come out next year with base building, ? That's my current theory on that. There was a little vagueness in the monthly report about just how many ships and vehicles are being worked on at the moment. So they said an unannounced vehicle successfully passed grey box review. 2 other vehicles received a bug fixing pass and final content work ahead of their release. Another new ship is currently being prepared for its grey box gate review. And then a little bit later they go on to say work continued on 3 unannounced vehicles. A variant of a popular ship passed grey box review, another variant is approaching grey box review, while an all-new model entered production in preparation for its white box review in early April. So that's 4 to 7 ships that they're currently working on at varying stages of development, some of which, yeah, you can expect to see at Fleet Week or end of April, end of May, that bracket. But also, we've got some indications of some other stuff that CIG are working on from the recent Star Citizen Live interview with the vehicle concept team. So they talked about a heavy strike fighter based on the Mantis chassis, and we might have seen a sneak peek of that in the newsletter. So there was a newsletter, and the caption for it was "Prepare for Combat." We also know that CIG are working on a really small salvage ship and a new Kruger single-seater light fighter, but those last 2 we just mentioned are going to be much more likely in the concept phase still, or maybe in some level of white box, but yeah, certainly not too far into their development. CitizenCon 2954. Other than what we've already mentioned, we do know that Cloud Imperium have a few other things that they were working on and then showed off during October. This is stuff that is likely to also be worked on now. So this is the Argo CSV FM model, so the sort of drone building version. And we've also got the MISC Starlancer BLD, again, a drone base building version of the Starlancer. Interestingly, the Drake Ironclad and Ironclad Assault. So there's been rumours and maybe leaks as well suggesting that this might turn up during Fleet Week. I don't know. Like, it could turn up at Drake Defence Con at the end of Fleet Week. I really like that idea. I'm really, really excited by the Ironclad. So the standard Ironclad is a really, really armoured cargo transport vessel. Nice big armoured freight transport, but you could also use it as a mobile hangar or like a pocket carrier sort of thing. And then you've got the Ironclad Assault, which goes, I want to carry a load of vehicles and repair those vehicles, have this as sort of like a mobile assault platform. Really, really cool ships, nice and big as well. Is it possible we could see one of these at Fleet Week actually in-game? It is possible. It is possible. It could be one of the things they're talking about, but I don't know how far it is along in its development. There's something else as well. There's rumours of the Greycat CAV, which is potentially one of the vehicles they showed during CitizenCon. People were saying that this could be like a mobile missile combat assault vehicle. I suppose they're always going to be mobile. They've got wheels. Some people are thinking like it's an APC or a modular builder or something like that. There's also something that looks to be built on the Anvil Ballista or Centurion chassis, otherwise known as the Atlas chassis, but not to get confused with the ATLS. So it's not a mech, it is a ground vehicle variant. We think it's going to be like a armoured medical or base building thing, something like that. Not 100% sure. I mean, they could be moving into ground salvage and larger scale mining. That's also a possibility. We have again, something that I'm not 100% sure what this is, a Drake mini Corsair, or sort of stripped down Corsair variant, something like that. Not 100% sure, but again, these are things that might turn up in the next couple of months, potentially end of April or in Fleet Week. Yeah, super excited for stuff like that. I know a lot of people are like, where's the 600i rework? Where are the updated Vandal ships? When's the Idris M/P and Javelin going to be in players' hands? So with the Idris M and P and Javelin and potentially even Vandal ship rework, CIG have suggested that's going to be when Squadron 42 is in our hands in 2026. Could come out before that, some of that, maybe. And obviously we have the Idris in-game and the Javelin in-game to some degree, like the NPCs fly them around. We know there's a 600i rework that's ongoing. I'm not sure where they are in that process. I'm not sure if that's something we're going to see actually finished this year or not. It does depend on priorities, and CIG have not hinted at that. But what other ships are left to actually be completed? There's not that many. From 2012, you could technically say the Idris M and Idris P, yeah, they're sort of kind of in-game, the Idris, to a degree, but let's sort of ignore that, or not, it doesn't matter, I've already mentioned it. 2013, ships from them that still need completing, Banu Merchantman and RSI Orion. That Orion is a ridiculously large strip miner, and the Banu Merchantman got canned because they were working on a chain of RSI ships, which might mean that the Orion isn't too far away, but it's going to be like at least a couple of years for something like that, right? Potentially the Banu Merchantman will become the oldest ship to not be put into the game at that stage. Obviously, they've got Wicklow Banu in-game in 4.1. Maybe that's an indicator that they're going to start working on the Banu Merchantman with an actual team until completion. 2014, we have the Crucible, which is that sort of top-tier repair ship. The Endeavour, which is, I think, going to be the ship that is basically added to the game last, because it's such an expansive science ship. It's so modular. It's got loads going on. You can have it as a farming ship. You can have it as a mobile hospital. You can have it as a literally research outpost. You've got the Genesis Starliner. That's going to be very useful for transporting NPCs and players from place to place, like a 747. And then you've got the Javelin, the Destroyer. Super excited to see it whenever they add it into the game for players to use. And then 2015, we've got the remaining Hull series. 2017, the Pioneer. Obviously, that was updated and CIG are working on it now. 2018, we had the Apollo. Again, CIG working on that now. The Kraken, the privateer as well, was announced in 2019, but the Kraken 2018, I'm super excited to see that in the game because it's a mobile assault carrier / space station that people can land at and rearm, repair, refuel. Talking about rearm, repair, refuel, the Vulcan, which looks like Master Chief from the front, but that's their sort of drone-based rearm, repair, and refuel ship that you can kind of change what it does based on what the drones have on them at the time. 2019, we've got the Expanse, which is that refining ship. We've got the Nautilus as well, which is that really big mine-laying / mine-diffusing repurposing ship that uses drones. And then you've got the Tumbrel Rangers, those series of bikes. 2020, we've got the G12s, there's luxury buggies. 2021, got the Liberator, which I'm very excited for. It's a big transport ship for transporting vehicles and ships and troops, and looks a bit like a landing craft. I absolutely love it. Got the Odyssey, which is an absolutely massive exploration ship that can get its own quantanium. Caused a bit of controversy when it was added to the game, or added to concept, shall I say, because they went, is this just better than the Carrack? It's better than the Carrack, isn't it? And it's sort of different to the Carrack. And we've also sort of hinted at during some of the IAEs and with Jax McCleary and stuff. One day we'll see the Odyssey in game. You've got the Raylan, which is sort of a medium Xi'an / human hybrid cargo ship. 2022, we had the Galaxy, which is the modular RSI ship, pretty big and can do a load of different stuff. We've got the Legionnaire, which is the forcibly docking ship that latches on to the docking ports of another ship, and then your Marines assault them. Now, interestingly as well, that was a ship that CIG were working on and then went, oh, we got to pause because we haven't got the gameplay for it properly ready yet. So it'll be interesting to see when they actually add that. You've got the UTV, which was a buggy that they showed during CitizenCon 2022. You've got the Spirit E1, that version of the Spirit, the transport version for transporting people, has yet to be added. 2023, we had the Arastra and the Zeus Mark II MR. They're still waiting for release dates, though I do think the Zeus Mark II, the MR version, probably not too far away. 2024, we had the Ironclad and Ironclad Assault. Super excited to see them in game at some point. We know that CIG are obviously working on them. You've got the Paladin, that gunship. You've got the CSVFM, which we talked about, the building version, and then you've got the Starlancer build and tack. And that's it. Like, they have so many ships in game, and they have completed so many ships. Yes, there are still some effectively from 2013, the Banner Merchant and the Orion, that have yet to be put in game, and they're going to be a while. They are genuinely going to be a while. But you are seeing more and more ships get into the game year on year than sort of ever before, and there's a load of new ones beyond those old concept ones. They are trying to move away from concepts where sensible, but obviously it is something that makes them a load of money. Any ships that are sort of like concepted now, as it were, will likely be worked on until completion, or are going to be a lot quicker to complete than some of these older ships. But yeah, you're still going to see them in game. It is, disappointing to see some of them left by the wayside, but they will get there with them. I'm really interested to know what you think, though, and if we're going to see any of these in the next year or so, and what would you expect to actually see in-game in players' hands. This has been your ship update. I'm interested to know, what do you think we're going to see during Fleet Week? Are you expecting something in particular? Are we going to see an ATLS combat suit? That's one of the other things, right? Because they've been teasing that in-game at Wicklow's. We know that they wanted a Titan combat suit, an ATLS combat suit for Squadron 42 as well. But it's something that could genuinely come out during Fleet Week this year. In fact, that seems very likely. But what we've seen of teasers is only sort of like quite derpy ones compared to the concept. Not that I'm complaining that much, because I haven't seen one of these Titan suits activated yet, the combat ones anyway. And I sort of like the idea of a shooty mech on paper. Let's see if it's any good. These might even just be like silly little teasers. The military ones might be a load cooler. This one might be like a civilian one that's been outfitted for combat and not intended for combat originally. So there's a lot going on there, but I'm really interested to know what you think and what you're excited for. And do you think that's going to turn up during Fleet Week? What are your thoughts or questions? Chuck them in the comments below. A reason to comment down below is every month we have a ship giveaway. And this month of April, we're actually giving away 3 different ships to 3 different winners. Well, I mean, it's the same ship to 3 different winners. It's a Drake Golem, the mining ship. It also comes with lifetime insurance and a game package. One of those was given to us by CIG. Thank you very much for that. Just comment on any of my videos made during the month to be in for a chance of winning. Also, something that makes you feel like a winner, nordvpn.com/BoredGamer, or use the links below to get some NordVPN. Gives you better security, privacy, and accessibility on the interwebs. I use it. I love it. I think they're important. Maybe they are for you, maybe they're not, but you can click the links down below and get discounts. That's true of our other links down below, things to like THRUSTMASTER or to Toby Eye Tracker. You get yourself potentially a discount and help the channel out. Thanks very much for watching. You take care. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Have a great April, and I hope to see you in the verse.